Hey kids, welcome to Glen's Man Cave. We're down here in Screaming Mosquito Studios, doing what we always do, creating music. And definitely spend a lot of time down here. Yes, I am a recluse. You don't see me out much anymore because this is what I do. I love writing music. Um, the band thing, while it can be fun, gives me a royal pain in the ass. So I like to hide in my studio just to relieve all that tension from being in bands, and work on my own stuff. Bands can be fun though. Just right now, I need a break. So doing my music thing is perfect therapy. So what are we doing? Well, we are going through the archives. What I mean by that is I have hundreds, over 1,000 songs in various stages, and they're all archived. I've been doing writing material since I started playing drums. When I started playing drums, my dad had an acoustic guitar. I used to grab that, learn how to play basic campfire chords, and started writing at that early age. I think most musicians do that. They want to write their own song to their girlfriend or mom and pa. They want to write something for them, or just something that affected you and you want to try and document it in music. So I've been doing that since I was a teen, 1977, when I was first started playing drums. And like I say, I played acoustic at that time too. Not a great guitar player through those early years, and even now I am not a virtuoso by any means. I took a different route learning guitar than I did drums. Drums, everything was by the book. I learned how to read. I was into notation. I did it all the mechanics when I was growing up. I wanted to learn. I wanted to progress as a player, and I just wanted to take the path that I was going to try and better myself every time I touched the drum kit to practice. Guitar, totally different. Because the drum method that I took, many can probably agree with this, but sometimes it would drive you nuts. It was like things would not work right, you struggle. I want a guitar to be pure fun. If guitar was driving me nuts, I took it off, put it on a stand, and I walked away from it. I never learned cover songs. To this day, I probably couldn't play any cover songs. Never attempted to go that route. What I did was I got chord books, I got a chord chart, and I just tried to learn the fingering for the chords. And not so much as a strumming thing, but can I pick the notes of them? I learned how to, what they call hybrid pick, which is holding a pick. Got one here. So I hold my pick like this, and while I can pick this way, I also use my fingers. So hybrid picking. So the point of that is I just wanted to make melodic patterns instead of this constant just strum the chord with no I don't know, I guess no melodies. I just wasn't into that. I wanted to hear picking. So I learned it that way. Not great at it, but that's the way I did it. And I always tried to find chords that weren't like your typical ones you hear in songs all the time. There was always like one extra note that was kind of weird. So I mean, I still use the basic chords too, don't get me wrong. So my whole point is, my labor of love was to try and create music um, out of thin air. I got into the habit of each day trying to at least come up with some type of pattern, whether it be a single note or a single chord, but a picking pattern. If I did that, I would record it, stockpile it. In the early days, I was recording on cassettes, so yes, I've converted some to digital, but there's still boxes full of cassettes with my musical patterns that I created for songs, along with songs. I did the same thing with drums. There are boxes full of Glenn Thomas drums that I don't know why I do it, because it's probably a sickness, but to go back and go through all these cassettes is so time consuming, because cassettes are, I hate cassettes now, but back then it was our avenue to do this stuff. But man, to go back and archive these and convert them to digital, pain in the ass. But I've been doing it. Another reason why I'm down here. So anyways, with the guitar, that's what I started doing. I knew I wasn't going to play on stage as a guitar player. I knew I wasn't going to be in a band playing guitar. I wanted to write songs. That's all I wanted to do. So right now on the studio computer, I have a 10-year, I think it's a 10-year span of the archives of ideas that I wrote. That's not including what's on here, more modern songs, because those are on here too, because this is my working computer with my studios where I record my finished songs. So those are archived here too, within reason. Usually I try and keep that to be the most recent. As for those archived ones for late 90s to, it looks to be about 2010, that's just like one section of stuff that I've done. There's easily 1,000 songs. Also on here are about 110 songs in various stages that I wrote with my friend Tony over a massive 10-year period. So that was like getting together once or twice a week. So there are right now, many are complete of those, and we recorded a CD that hasn't quite got released yet, of 22 songs. Excuse me. So out of those 100 and something, 22 of them are polished, ready to go. Of my 1,000 on here, I know that sounds like, oh yeah, I'm full of shit, but no, I basically, that's all I do with the guitar to have fun, is to write these segments. Now when I say these songs are done, I'm just talking the guitar beginning to end in some rough form. Like I have all the parts to make it from one end to the other for a 3 to sometimes 7-minute song. When you get the full package with all the bass and drums, sure, there's segments with drums and some bass, some with multiple guitar, but I'm just talking the one guitar idea is developed from beginning to end. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few samples of this stuff. Now some of them are crude and some have gone on to be finished work. Sometimes the titles have changed, because it's like many musicians, you have a working title, it might be something different when it's all done and complete. So these are just for 10-year span. I think it's like, well, maybe 20-year. What is that, late 90s? Yeah, so probably just a bit over, not quite 20, but over 10. I have an itchy eye and it's driving me nuts. So we'll give you a little taste I'll show you the folder first. This is just one section. Like I say, I'm doing this a long time. I'm going to give you samples of some really early stuff that's not on this computer but on the one upstairs. All this stuff now, all my stuff from my history is backed up on CDs, DVDs, external hard drives. And my problem is I write more ideas than I complete songs. When I say complete songs, I mean recording all the bass, the drums, if they have vocals, writing the lyrics. Not all my songs are with vocals. I write a lot of instrumentals. And the reason being, I always wanted to write movie scores, independent movie scores, or music for small little 10-minute little showcase videos. I was into musical scores when I was a kid. When I was watching movies, musical scores just hit my ears. I could hear songs on the radio, and that was one thing, but musical scores in music, I was just so absorbed by that, and it stuck. So now I can write all these quirky sounding pieces, and I'm happy with it. It's like it may not relate or connect with someone else's ears, but for me it's like, oh, I could picture that in this segment of a movie, you know. But anyways, so I'll give you a little bit of a showcase of what we got here. So my hands are shaky. I'm going to try not to shake. All these right here are folders with songs. I'm going to try and hold this up. So we go over here. You can see all these songs. Some aren't titled, some are. Like you can see one's called April Fools, Digging the Groove, Egypt. Some of these songs I can remember. Some I'll have to click on them to know what they are. Some have changed titles to a finished name. Some are just for like a cool riff, but they are basically songs now. Some are based on guitar, some are based on drums. This one here, Witchcraft, is a drum song with keyboards and bass and guitar, but originally started with drums. So there are some cover songs in here because I get sloppy sometimes. Those are cover songs, not mine. So there's some right there. So you can just, right here, these are my band songs. So those don't get included. But all the rest on that one are mine. Some of these are named after a person that meant a lot to me, or they drove me nuts, and I wrote a song that basically tells me they drove me nuts. So, like Dick Dastardly is an old tune. We got one of my friend's bands here. He was my guitar teacher. But these are all instrumentals, or they do have some vocals. A lot of these are completed works. This one is a completed one. And let's see here. These are more, lots more. I'm clicking through every folder. Now you'll see some that have, yeah, I'm trying to stop shaking here. Sorry about that. You see the one that says Crash. There might be multiple versions of that. That's because I've added parts to it. to make the song different, or I've added a secondary or a third instrument to it to help in the development of the song. And like that's kind of the vibe there. Again, more. Some of these I've written for other people or about other people. A lot of them are just how I felt on a certain day. So, you know, just a personal experience. There's one here called Charlie Chaplin. I wrote that for my wife. Very strange. It's got a 1920s vibe to it. Yeah, totally different from a long-haired jazz rocker guy. My wife does play songs on the drums for me if I need her for just an anchor. Nowadays I use drum machines or drum sequences just to help out. But yeah, there are songs here like you can see Lies and Simple Answers. That's about somebody that I know. Loving One in Silence is another one. It's all through life experiences. Swampfly, I just completed that one. That song is so old. That song I wrote so many years ago. I wrote it on the road. I couldn't sleep one night, and I brought my Stratocaster along with me with the band. We were touring at the time, and I wrote that song in the middle of the night, recorded it, just the parts on a simple recorder, and I brought it home and finally finished it. It started out being a blues riff thing, and it emerged into kind of a swampy country. So here are more songs. Like I say, I'm trying to hold this camera steady. It's another batch. Another bunch. These are rough alternates, meaning I changed the structures. Okay, now that's just a little bit. Now we get into this. These are folders of songs, tons. All these converted ones are converted from various sources, whether it be cassettes, or I took them off of my CDs and put them on a computer so I could access them more easily. And each one of these folders are like, there's tons of songs. So I'm gonna kind of like, look, there's a bunch there. I got some lyrics in here. No, I just have one there. Here we go. So more converted ones. More converted. These are basically songs that were done I have them as per month on a year. So some of these would have been like this one here, probably from 2008, looks like. Another folder here, more. Sometimes I wrote the capo position for the riff I was doing, just to help out. Also, some of these songs, parts, might have been taken and blended together with other songs, song parts to make complete songs. So yeah, I do steal some parts from my songs and move them over to others. Anything to get songs done. Look at this. Like I say, this is just from, I'm starting to shake. This is just from, it looks to be this batch is just for roughly 10 years, but not every month. I just took highlights. Like this is from October. This is October 2008. That's what I had for that month. This one is July of 09. This is September 09. My song The Drones was born in this area here, completed with multiple parts. I think 2012 is when I released it online. Here we go. Bullet Face was one. Bullet Face was made up of a few ideas. So then we have some new songs. A couple that I wrote with a friend of mine. Yeah. So, yeah, let's see here. These are other ones. These are from old works from when I was younger. Wrote with some friends. These are a few more modern ones now that we're working on. So you get the idea. I am always doing something with music. I'm addicted to it. And as many people know, I hate having my time wasted when I'm playing in bands and stuff. I'm always wanting things to progress, to keep learning, to keep adding new songs to music lists, like I do with this. Like every day when I pick up the guitar, it might be a review of something I did before, and I don't record that. So, but one of the other instruments I play, I might record something. Like yesterday, I worked on drum tracks for customers, because that's what I do when I'm not playing live with the band. I'm recording drum tracks for people. We do this via online. Excuse me. And they pay me for it. So I do videos online to show people that I'm working on some basic drum parts for a customer or for my own stuff. Well, with the guitar, I try and pick it up every day. I have no goal in playing live with it, although I would probably do it if it was one of my own tunes, just to do it on a jam night. But it's just a creative hobby that I just got addicted to. And my wife is used to it. I have guitars upstairs with an amp and a computer to record on. I have handheld recorders that are digital recorders now, Zoom recorders, which are great. Find one of these old, I've done videos on them on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, but they're great for recording your ideas. And if you put them in record mode for MP3, it will record hours and hours of your ideas. They're great for band practice too, if your band's got ideas. I also do the GoPro thing, record, because sometimes, even though I'm playing the part, I might forget the chording or the fingering pattern, because I don't just strum chords. I'm always doing the finger picking kind of thing. So sometimes you forget a pattern. So, like I say, every day I pick up the guitar. Just usually it's later at night when I can relax. Drums is normally during the day, but I do have electronic drums, and I'll record during the night. It doesn't bother my wife because I'm wearing headphones. And the cool thing about the kit I have is you can put a thumb drive in and record yourself playing. You can record yourself playing to a click track. You can record yourself playing to a musical idea that you came up with guitar earlier today that you put on, made an MP3 of, stick it in there, press play. It's all contained. That's what I do like about electronic drums. I'm not a fan of the overall sound or the feel, You can throw that out. But it's a work tool to help achieve a song for me. And it's fun to practice late at night, when you're in your zone and you can't sleep and you feel the urge to do something with music. Well, everyone in the house is sleeping. It won't bother them at all. But anyways, everything is done in that module. I love that part. I had an earlier electronic kit that didn't have that. But this kit I bought off a friend for minimal dollars is just a great work tool for that. So that's Scoop. So what I'm going to do, I was going to give you a taste of little samples of stuff over the years. A lot of it is ancient sounding. Some of it's funny. And then just give you little snippets. And I'll try and title each one as I remember the title. And you get a taste of the noise I've been working on pretty much all my life. What is the outcome for this stuff? And what do I see happening? Not too much, really. I would love to score movies with some of these ideas. Obviously develop them more. But it comes down to, this is just a therapy for me. Like I say, when other things are bothering me in life, I can come down here and it's like automatic. Everything just goes away and I can just focus on this. If something happens to this music that I release, someone's interested in the song and using it, that's great. I don't see it happening unless I really, really shop it. I mean, some of the stuff I rate is weird. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's weird, but I enjoyed making that. If other people like it, fantastic. If they don't, that doesn't bother me either. I'm doing this for my own self, for a therapy, just for fun, and it's a hobby. Like it, people have painting or scrapbooking. This is my hobby. It's an expensive one. There is no reward financially for what I do. Because if you look back at all what I've done since 1977, it's even though I played live all the time, every year I was on stage, the rewards financially do not balance out to a good profit. Sure, it helped buy my house and it's paid off, but definitely have a backup plan. Unless you want to be a music teacher, but as a musician, it is an uphill battle to make this this music thing work for you in a positive way. Even worse now, because now everybody's on YouTube, and so they can sit in the room. They don't tour anymore. So now the touring thing seems to be kind of dying, which I don't know if that's a good thing. I learned a lot touring. It's one thing to just play in your room to an audience, but touring and being with other musicians, learning your craft, learning the dynamic of playing in a band, that's a lot of fun. So if that dies, I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to just look at one person playing, a cover song on YouTube. I'd rather see a full band playing, in a live bar, and somebody's videotaping. I'd rather see that than someone just showing off on their chops or whatever. Now, we all do it, but for me, it's just I enjoy a certain song. I want to play drums to it, and I'll post it up. And it's usually for my friends or relatives that aren't in town, just so they can see what I'm up to. I don't do these videos for anything else but pure enjoyment and just to, let friends know in other cities and relatives what I'm doing. Because my views, if you watch the views on my channels, they're not very high. If they hit 100 views, that's a miracle. So, because most of them don't get that many views. So, and that's fine. Everything's archived. I'm an archiving nut. Everything's archived. So, after I'm gone, my videos will sit there getting moldy, and somebody might trip on one and click it and go, "Oh wow, what's this guy say?" But anyway, so I'm going to give you some samples here. And if I don't label them properly, forgive me, because it's time consuming. So I might just vocally say it and then give you a tidbit. All right. So I'll say my farewells now, and we'll finish off with a whole bunch of little snippets of Glen noise. Okay, this song is called Holiday. I'm just giving you snippets. You're not getting the whole song, so you don't get a headache. So Holiday. There's multiple folders or snippets here, but this song is actually complete in a raw form. Not perfect, but someday I'll do it finished with bass and drums. But we'll give you a taste of some of the bad chording that I've come up with. So that's be one part. This would be another part to the song. Okay, and then we have another part. So you get the idea. That's got different parts to it. It's actually has a dynamic slowdown in the middle, which kind of relates to that part. So here's a song called I Don't Know Yet, but I've actually developed this one. It actually is complete also, but this is the original idea. That's a little section of that. That one is also done. Like I say, I'm trying to hold this camera steady. I'm just going to bring this down so I don't have to hold it. I don't know if you'll be able to see the screen, but so this one's called Jazz on the Stuff. Definitely a jazz influence with maybe a Steely Dan kind of vibe. That's a little taste of that. I've added the second guitar and stuff. Okay, just hold on. New sound. Probably because I couldn't think of another title for it. There's multiple new sound segments. All make up the complete song. So that's just a segment. Anyways, you get that. Okay, this one's called April Fools. This one is done also, but in very crude form on this recording here. So it's basically giving you a bit of the intro picking and a bit of the rhythm. Again, these weren't done to a click track. This was way before. This was way before I started using clicks and sequencers to help me make the tracks a little more uniform, but you get the idea. Okay, get a drift of that one. I think this one is kind of country-ish. Anyways, that one's just kind of in its raw form. Drowning. It's another one here. Anyways, that's A little bit of a Pink Floyd-ish maybe vibe. This song, Egypt, right here. I actually wrote this for my wife. I just want to make sure I got the right version here. Yeah, my wife's fascinated with Egypt, so I wrote that one called Egypt. Like I say, these are just the rough drafts. This one is more developed. Okay, I can't remember this one. Yeah, that one's called Growl. Okay, let's hold on a sec. This one is actually almost done as a full kind of rock, heavier rock, punkish kind of vibe to it. So I'm just going to give you the rough draft for a few seconds. As you can tell, it's got an off-time vibe to it. That one is old. Racing at Night. This is old, influenced by maybe a little bit of the Police. '70s Love. This one was an idea for kind of a soundtrack, I think, if I remember right. As you can tell, weird picking, weird chords. The Chug. This one's called The Chug. There are lots of versions here. My wife had bought me a Vox amp, a tiny Vox amp with all the effects built in and stuff. And I still use that upstairs. But this is one of the first songs I wrote on it. Yeah, that's one part. So there are other parts to the song, but just giving you a taste of it. Okay, hold on one sec. Okay, so this is called This Ain't Country, which it ain't, but it's maybe might have a Tom Petty vibe to it, but I always throw a weird chord in there to make it sound different. I'll just give you a segment. So there you get a weird chord at the end. I love that. Tilted. I can't remember what that one is. It'll come to me when I hit it, because some of these changed names. Oh yeah. Anyways, that one's called Tilted. I've done more to that one. That's under its old title. It's been changed. Yeah, this one, Time is Precious to Us All, was simple chords, but I had a vocal line and things that I came up with. So this is the idea. When I first had the idea and I grabbed the recorder. Anyways, that's just a segment. That's actually definitely a finished song. Okay, this is a song called, well, it's called One Finger Groove now, but my wife thought it would be funny to put a animated duck sound throughout instead of the vocals. I thought it was really cute, so I kept it. I mean, it's not in the finished version, but we have this version, and she calls it duck finger. Anyways, I thought it was pretty funny. Okay, let's see. Lightspeed is an old one. Yeah, and there are other versions of that. We have one called Nut Bar, which is presently on the workbench right now. I just got it all set to do the final version last night. So this is the early idea. Okay, this one is a goofy country-ish kind of one. Down to the beer store. So you get the drift of that one. Yeah, this one is called You Haunt Me Still. It's an older one. This one needs to be polished. I'm just going to give you the intro riffs. That's basically that part of it, but it's got more parts. Just not played very well. Yeah, I wrote this one for my wife too. It's called Caterpillar. It's kind of a interesting little ditty. Anyways, some of these songs, these were dissected and turned into the song Bullet Face that I wrote and released. I think this is a rough part. Yeah. So that was originally called Raw, the song. And then Rockarola is another part to the what became Bullet Face. That's basically that. Yeah, this one is Paralyze and Boogie. Country swamp kind of thing. This one is called New Wave. This got a lot of picking in it, but it doesn't come across in this version. But this version has kind of it does have a drum beat on it, but not sure that will be a keeper for that drum beat. Yeah, I kind of screwed it up. Here it is without drums and not quite that great a picking. This is old song. I play it much better now. It is a complete song though. drift of that. Yeah, this one is called Jumping Planets. Highway Ride, I think, if I remember. Yeah, this is a country one. This one's all done. This one is called Filling Big Shoes. Again, an old one. It is fully complete musically, not on this particular track, but no vocals or anything written for this yet. This one's called The Big Cheese. This one's finished musically. Drums, bass, no vocals. Strictly just the three instruments. Again, this is just a rough draft before all that stuff. Okay, sound quality is not that great on these because they were transferred from, like I say, different sources, my old cassettes and whatnot else. Yeah, this one is called The Big Groove. Okay. Okay, this one's called Turmoil. I always like this tune. Very moody. I have not worked on drums for this song yet. Okay, and let's see here. More modern ones here. These are more keyboard oriented with some instruments else in there added to them. I love keyboards. Weird keyboards. So here's one. Yeah, that's one. Here's another one. Like I say, I like doing soundtrack vibe things, so. More keyboards. This one is Invader's Dance. A little taste. Western Birthday Hop. Another country one. I don't normally write country, but I love chicken picking guitar, so I like that clean compressed plucking. I love it. Anyways. Anyways, you get the idea. That one's really sloppy. Just an interesting idea. Just a rock song, basically. This one's kind of a simple, darker kind of rock song. Anyways, you get the vibe. My music's all over the place. That's just a touch of the stuff I buried in my little head. A lot of my stuff is more relatable, but I do love the obscure, weird stuff. Darker stuff, really experimental. But there are some, like on the computer upstairs, that are more, simple top 40 with vocals and stuff. The stuff I release is, again, the wide range. Just what's basically comes to mind, and what's the ones I've finished. I don't know why I picked the ones to lay out and completely complete for release. I don't know why I picked those ones. I just kind of picked them all at random. I'll probably never get to finishing all these songs with bass drums and all that, but because I keep writing more and more. So anyways, that's a small sample of the weirdness that comes out of here. These aren't the finished works. If you want the finished works, go on my YouTube channel, which is barkingeye, and you can go on Reverb Nation, find some of the stuff there. I'm always posting on Facebook also. So anyways, thanks for listening to all that noise. Appreciate it.